Fifth time was a charm for Brett Maher, and there's Mike McCarthy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's got
Mike?
the big chain.
I like
man.
it.
Big guy moving. He was starting to do the robot or something. I don't know what that was. Some new move that he just came up with.
It's called Shut That Sean Payton Talk Up. I'm the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. That's that move right there. That's what that is. That's called
I would say
no Sean Payton shimmy right there.
So, like the Shove It Sean Shimmy?
Right.
Would that be the best name for it?
Right.
Shove It Sean Shimmy?
Or shove it media over the Sean shimmy. Right. Yeah, something.
Well, after last year's wild card loss at home, which was capped by a failure of attention to detail, a poorly executed, riskily conceived quarterback draw aimed at buying time for one more shot at the end zone, which didn't take into account the fact the umpire had to teleport through two bodies before he could touch the ball and the ball could be spiked, which we've talked about at length. Nothing like that this time around. Just flat-out excellence from the Cowboys, wire to wire. We're going to break it down here on PFT Live, presented by Google Pixel. Learn more at googlestore.com. Hello to everyone watching on Peacock, listening on Sirius XM 85, watching and listening on Sky Sports NFL or podcasts, whenever, wherever, however, getting emails from throughout the galaxy after our reference to Uranus yesterday. So let's see if we can top it today right out of the gates. But, Chris, you can't top what the Cowboys did last night. I got to give you credit. Not that even you saw that coming. I didn't think they'd just completely kick the crap out of them, make it such a lopsided affair that there was no chance for Tom Brady to rev up the engine on comeback heroics. What a way to go out. At least last year, he did everything he could to tie up the Rams before the defense let them down in the divisional round loss. They didn't even show up last night. It was embarrassing.
Well, I think we saw really, a little bit what the Buccaneers were all year, right? We had moments of, oh, wait, it's good and all that type of stuff. But we kind of hit that point of where Dallas motivated, sick of hearing all the noise about, oh, you finished the season this way, Dak's not playing well. So they played their top-notch A-plus type of football game that we know when they play it, they're capable of dominating just about anybody in the sport. And then this is kind of what we saw from Tampa all year. We were always hopeful. We had those moments and, little glimmers of, oh, wow, okay, wait, maybe they can turn the corner here. Maybe it's the playoffs and they're healthy, and maybe this will be the time where they start to put their best football together. But no, ultimately it came back to this is the team we saw through the 18 weeks of the regular season. Just inconsistent, no run game, mistakes, blown coverages, putting too much on the shoulders of Brady at 45 years old, and really that was a dominant performance, like you said, by the Dallas Cowboys, who did just about everything right after those first few drives where it was a little bit of a stalemate. They controlled the game from that point on.
Remember, the big question was whether or not the Buccaneers would be able to run the ball.
Yeah.
They ran the ball back in week 1 when they won the game 19-3, and they had center Ryan Jensen back for the first time all year. He suffered a knee injury, second day of training camp. They were always very vague about what type of knee injury it was, and we don't really know, and the swelling's still there, and he just kind of lingered, and then all of a sudden he's back, and he's in the starting lineup, but they still couldn't run the ball. Leonard Fournette had 11 yards on 5 carries. Rashad White had 41 on 7.
Yeah,
of course, they had to abandon the run game fairly quickly once they fell way behind. And Tom Brady threw 66 passes at 45 years old.
Not going to happen.
66 passes, completed 35, 351 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception, a passer rating of not very good 72.2. But and you said we've seen that Buccaneers team all year. No, at times we saw good performances. This was the Buccaneers that we saw when we were like, what the hell is wrong with them? I didn't see anything last night that made me say, oh, there was the team that we saw beat the Rams or beat the Saints coming from behind. Or
I know, but look at what you're talking about. Look at what you're talking about. See?
Beat the Seahawks.
They beat the average Saints and the not good Rams, and they barely won and had like 7 horseshoes up their butt to do it. That's what I mean. Mike, I fell in the trap too. We all do. It's Brady. They won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, but there's just very few moments. We had a few of those clutch moments that you're talking about where you go, oh, wait, maybe that's the way they could play, and if they can just hang around, they can be tough to beat because Brady will be big time in, the end of the half and end of game moments. But ultimately, Mike, you just said it right. I mean, 62 times or however many times it was to throw the football, that's not sustainable with Tom Brady. That was one of the things we talked about yesterday. I know I talked about it on my podcast a bunch. Like, if they have to throw it 40-plus times in a game last night, no way it's going to work. I mean, they couldn't block Dallas. They can't block Dallas, and then we know Brady at his age becomes uncomfortable, right? So Dallas played a great game. We got to give them credit first up. They came out really, from the get-go, I thought like, oh, wow, they're playing. They're hitting. And I thought that was pretty apparent even through the stalemate. Not that I thought they were about to take off, but once they did take off, they showed they were in a different class than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and just excite me. They excite you when they play like that because you go, ooh, that's a special team, and can they sustain that and make a run and do something special here?
Well, and that's something that we saw in fits and starts throughout the season.
Right.
They would begin to look dominant, like what they did to the Vikings, what they did in the fourth quarter to the Colts. But that team has a habit of not showing up when you expect them to. When you don't expect them to, that's when they show up. That's going to be the challenge. On a short week, turning it around from Monday night, flying back to Texas, then flying to San Francisco, they have 5 days to get ready for 6 days, I don't know, what do you want to call it? It's Monday to Sunday, but then the 49ers have Saturday to the following Sunday, and they don't have to travel anywhere.
No.
That puts even more pressure on the Cowboys to show up and play like they did last night. And that's the problem. I think they set a bar last night. Everyone with the exception of kicker Brett Maher set a bar last night that's going to be difficult to live up to. It raises expectations. It's very easy to get yourself fired up to go out and play well when you can use that everyone thinks I stink card. Now everyone thinks I'm great, and you've got to parlay that into another great performance against a much better team in their building with a couple of days of difference in preparation time. It's not going to be easy for the Cowboys, but it sure looked easy last night. And Dak Prescott, for as spotty as Tom Brady was, Dak Prescott was spectacular. He threw half the number of passes, completed 25 of 33, 305, 4 touchdowns to 3 different receivers, ran one in. Dalton Schultz got a couple. There's the fourth down. Brilliant call. That's the way you fool a defense. He just was great. He was the guy that they paid $40 million a year to last night. That's when you earn that money. You step up in the playoffs against one of the all-time greats, and you don't just barely win. You kick the crap out of him.
Yeah, that's right. You kind of said it. It was a nice blend of surgical, systematic, just taking apart the defense. And then I think when you add on top of that, then we saw some of the, hey, wait, nothing's there. He made a nice run. He got out of the pocket, scrambled, played some backyard football, which he hasn't been doing a whole lot lately, which is going to be a pain in the butt for a team like the 49ers, the Eagles going forward. But ultimately, too, and guys, if we could show those clips of plays again, I think not only did he play good, the Dallas Cowboys were ready for Tampa Bay. Just some of the plays. I mean, again, this touchdown right here, this is total game plan. We kind of know what coverage you're going to play, messed with their rules. You said it right here. I'm sure to call that play in that moment, they had great evidence that, yes, that guy comes down the line of scrimmage too aggressive. Here's some backyard football. And then he's going to throw the CD Lamb play the next play, Mike. Or no, this one, again, another great game plan play. Creativity, probably broke tendencies. He acted like he was going inside. He breaks outside. And then this play here, again, kind of knowing what they're going to get, dialing up the perfect play. So I guess what I'm trying to say is way to go, Dak Prescott, but way to go, Mike McCarthy, Kellen Moore, for coming up with a game plan that really exposed Tampa and some of their rules. And they hadn't done that, in the first 2 times, or the first meeting last year and the meeting before that. So got to give them credit for some of the creativity and game planning they came up with.
I was looking back at the Buccaneers' schedule, and if there was a signature win, it was all the way back in Week 1, 19-3 at Dallas.
Right, it's crazy.
Given what we now know about both teams. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because the playoffs are where preparation, focus, film study, self-scouting thyself becomes, I think, even more critically important. We saw that play on Sunday in the Vikings game when Harrison Smith crashed down to Saquon Barkley and the fake and the throw, and it was obvious that the Giants knew exactly what the Vikings were going to bite on, and maybe they set something up with their own formation.
Exactly.
That's where you go next level. We're going to show them something that we've put on film umpteen times this year.
Dangle
and
it in front
run
of
out
them.
of it every single time.
Right.
And guess what?
Right.
This time we're not going to do it. And we're going to let them think that they've cracked the code on us, and we're going to use it against them. So it comes. So that's effective coaching. You know, at a time when the narrative was based upon how they performed last year against the 49ers in the wild card round, that a failure of coaching on Monday night could have significant consequences to Mike McCarthy. You're going to have some folks who follow the Buccaneers now saying, what did our coaching staff do here to get ready for this Cowboys team? What did they do to stay ahead of the curve? What did we do to self-scout ourselves? What did we do to crack the code on the Cowboys? It's not just execution. You can look at the players and say, Tom Brady, he doesn't have it anymore, but coaching is a big part of it too. I expect there to be some changes on that staff. I don't know that Todd Bowles is going to be in trouble after only 1 year as the head coach, but there's been a lot of chatter about Byron Leftwich, who was a hot head coaching candidate a year ago and at one point looked like he was going to be the next Jaguars coach. There's talk that maybe he's going to be out. There's some speculation in and around Pittsburgh that maybe Mike Tomlin's waiting to make a change at coordinator because he's thinking Leftwich is going to end up there replacing Matt Canada.
That'd be
so
interesting.
Keep an eye on that one in the coming days.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked to see that happen. I mean, I'd be a little shocked, honestly, if Tampa wanted to part ways with him. I think Leftwich and what we see from that offense is I like a lot of their answers and what they do. I do. I mean, I think some of it has got to go back onto like, hey, we got to talk about personnel a little bit as well. And then maybe the shelf life of that football team has just gone, a year too far. And we know in the NFL, you win a Super Bowl 2-3 years before that. I mean, hey, 1 year before that, like the Rams, it doesn't take much to go, wait, that Super Bowl team, as great as it was, the lifeline's coming to an end. It's over. And I think that's kind of where we got with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think that's why we saw Tom Brady try to leave town last year. He felt like this was coming last offseason. This is why he tried to make a move to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But, just an underwhelming season. And it's hard to put your finger on any one thing. It's injuries. It's just, lack of detail on both sides of the ball. The Brady life, distractions and the things he had to go through. It just was not a good year for Tampa. A lot of distractions and issues, and they never really played good football. Like you said earlier, just showed us a few moments and glimmers here and there, but other than that, it was very inconsistent.
We'll spin it forward regarding the Buccaneers later because, frankly, we have all offseason to spin it forward for them because they're done. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.